Imagine standing at the pinnacle of high society, ready to mingle with billionaires, philanthropists, and A-list celebrities, only to be told that your very presence is inappropriate. That's exactly what happened to Samantha Beckett, a powerful businesswoman who also happened to be 8 months pregnant. Humiliated, scorned, and barred from the season's most exclusive gala, Samantha did what no one anticipated. She didn't just fight back, she bought the entire venue. Overnight, she turned a moment of ostracism into a blazing triumph, capturing the world's attention. This is the scandalous, unpredictable tale of a mother-to-be who dared to flip the script on high society. Samantha Beckett was not born into wealth. She had clawed her way up from a modest upbringing in the outskirts of Minneapolis, fueled by an insatiable drive to succeed and prove her naysayers wrong. What she lacked in familial privilege, she more than made up for with determination, intellect, and, as some said, a shrewd ability to anticipate trends in the market before anyone else. By the time she was 30, Samantha had already launched 2 successful startups, one in technology consulting and another in organic food distribution. Both companies sold for millions, setting her on an upward trajectory that placed her in the orbit of the ultra-wealthy. But money alone never fascinated Samantha. It was what one could do with it, how it could be leveraged to create a better life for oneself and to inspire others to rise above their circumstances. She frequently donated to local community colleges, vocational training programs, and women's shelters. Her philanthropic work led her to rub shoulders with people like Mackenzie Scott, the high-profile philanthropist, and even garnered a brief meeting with Warren Buffett at a charity lunch. She recognized that generosity opened more doors than raw ambition ever could, and in that spirit, she shaped her public image as a businesswoman who truly cared. At 32, Samantha met Nathan Beckett at a leadership summit in New York City. Nathan came from an old money family, his lineage traced back to early steel magnates in Pennsylvania. In an era when generational wealth often bred complacency, Nathan was a man of surprising humility. He worked as an investment banker, but more than that, he devoted his free time to educational charities, teaching underprivileged youth basic financial literacy. Samantha was immediately drawn to his dedication and calm demeanor. Their courtship was almost surreal, punctuated by red carpet events, philanthropic galas, and intimate dinners where they discussed their shared vision for building a legacy of empowerment. Within a year, they were married at a picturesque ceremony in Tuscany, Italy, an event that made the society pages. Soon after Samantha became pregnant with their first child, a joyous milestone they both eagerly welcomed. Life seemed perfect, a fairy tale of modern success, old-world charm, and boundless possibilities. Little did they know, a storm of scandal was about to descend upon their otherwise charmed existence. A storm triggered by the unlikeliest of reasons, Samantha's pregnancy. High society events were nothing new to Samantha and Nathan. They had attended countless black-tie dinners, charity auctions, art festivals, and philanthropic galas that spanned cities like New York, London, and Dubai. Each event promised networking opportunities, chances to collaborate on meaningful projects, and a certain prestige that came with being seen in the right circles. So when the invitation to the annual Albrecht Foundation Gala arrived, Samantha thought nothing of it initially. The Albrecht Foundation was known for hosting one of the country's most exclusive charity events every fall. Its mission centered on funding innovative medical research, supporting various global health initiatives, and providing scholarships for medical students from underrepresented backgrounds. Over the years, the foundation had garnered high-profile patrons. Celebrities like Oprah Winfrey and Idris Elba had attended in the past, as had titans of industry like Bill Gates and Elon Musk. The event was not just a fundraiser, but a statement of social standing. Securing an invitation was akin to being knighted in certain circles. Samantha had contributed generously to the foundation in the past, particularly toward researching maternal health issues, a cause close to her heart. With her pregnancy advancing, she felt an even stronger connection to any philanthropic work related to maternal health and child welfare. She looked forward to this gala not only for social reasons, but also for its philanthropic focus, hoping to meet new partners, doctors and researchers who might champion better healthcare policies for pregnant women. For weeks, Samantha had a seamstress flown in from Milan to custom-fit a gown that would accommodate her growing belly in style. This might have sounded extravagant to some, but among her peers, it was par for the course. In the Beckett household, fashion wasn't merely about self-indulgence, it was a carefully curated statement of success, confidence, and empathy. Samantha believed that looking her best allowed her to stand tall and effectively champion her causes. Despite the excitement, as her due date crept closer, a few of Samantha's associates expressed mild concern. "Will you be okay attending such a crowded event at 8 months pregnant?" her friend and personal assistant, Giselle, asked gently. Samantha, however, brushed off the worries. After all, pregnant women regularly walked red carpets, gave TED Talks, and even ran marathons. Attending a seated gala with the highest medical standards in place seemed perfectly reasonable until she received a phone call that would turn her world upside down. The call came from a man named Johann Weber, a senior board member of the Albrecht Foundation. Samantha recognized his voice from previous events. Though she hadn't interacted with him often, he carried an air of authority. Her phone buzzed late one afternoon as she was finalizing details for her flight to New York. "Hello, Mrs. Beckett." Johann greeted politely but tersely. "I'm calling on behalf of the Albrecht Foundation's board of directors. We have a bit of a delicate situation." Samantha's initial reaction was concern that the event might be cancelled or postponed. Perhaps there had been an outbreak of some illness, or the celebrity headliner had withdrawn. The last thing she expected was what came next. "We regret to inform you that we've had to make a difficult decision regarding your attendance at the gala," Johann continued. His voice tightened with each syllable. "Given your advanced stage of pregnancy, the board feels it would be unwise to have you participate in this year's event." Samantha froze. She struggled to process the words. "I don't understand." She managed her tone, laced with disbelief. "Are you implying that my pregnancy is a problem?" Johann's response was a clumsy jumble of bureaucratic excuses. The foundation was concerned about potential medical emergencies, legal liabilities, and other so-called complications that might arise from having an 8 months pregnant attendee. "We're terribly sorry," he insisted, "but we simply can't accommodate your condition at such a high-profile function. We hope you understand." She did not understand. Fury mingled with humiliation as she tried to keep her composure. She couldn't recall ever being barred from an event for what was essentially a natural and beautiful stage of life. Samantha quickly ended the call before her emotions overwhelmed her. As she placed the phone down, her thoughts spun. Was this their official stance or a reflection of deeper prejudice? Didn't the Albrecht Foundation pride itself on supporting health initiatives, including maternal health care? Nathan was equally outraged when Samantha relayed the conversation. "They can't do that," he fumed, pacing across their living room. "It's discriminatory, plain and simple. They're basically telling you that pregnancy is a liability." Unbelievable. Despite Nathan's righteous anger, Samantha fell quiet. A sense of shock and betrayal course through her. She had championed the foundation's causes, donated generously, and now they dismissed her as a risk. The injustice was staggering. Questions raced through her mind. Should she sue? Should she call the press and expose this travesty? In her experience, dealing with a crisis was best done methodically rather than rashly. But sometimes anger could be a potent catalyst for change, and her anger was swiftly transforming into resolve. Word travels fast in elite circles, especially when scandal is involved. Within days, the rumor mill was abuzz. Various acquaintances reached out to Samantha discreetly expressing their shock and sympathy. Some insisted she go public and file a lawsuit for discrimination. Others, including a few major contributors to the Albrecht Foundation, whispered about launching an internal investigation. After all, how could an organization dedicated to medical philanthropy ban a pregnant woman? The board members of the foundation, however, released a carefully worded statement to quash the rumors. It mentioned concerns for Mrs. Beckett's comfort and well-being and recommendations from medical consultants that advised against attending large gatherings at such a late stage of pregnancy. The statement sounded more like a polite scolding, insinuating that Samantha was the one being irresponsible for wanting to attend. Samantha fumed. This was not merely a slight, it was a hit to her reputation. She had spent years establishing herself as someone who could be counted on, someone tough enough to be a leader and compassionate enough to fight for worthy causes. Now, the Albrecht Foundation had painted her as a thoughtless mother-to-be, willing to jeopardize her unborn child for a night of glamour. Nathan, for his part, was prepared to cut ties and publicly condemn the organization, but Samantha asked him to hold off. One night, as they lay in bed, Samantha stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She turned to Nathan and whispered, "I don't want to stoop to their level. I want to do something bigger, something that makes a statement about who we are and what we stand for." "What do you have in mind?" he asked. Curiosity piqued. "I'm not entirely sure yet," she admitted, "but I know one thing: I'm done letting them dictate the narrative of who I am and what pregnant women can or can't do." Their conversation turned into a strategy session, though Samantha was still uncertain of the exact course of action. One thing was clear: she needed to respond in a way that would not only vindicate her, but also highlight the beauty and power of motherhood. In the hush of that late-night hour, an audacious idea began to form, one that would shift the balance of power entirely in her favor. Samantha's eureka moment came a week after the ban. She was discussing real estate investments with her longtime friend and business partner, Lucia Vasquez. Lucia was a real estate tycoon who had connections in some of the most prestigious property circles in New York and beyond. Over a casual lunch in Samantha's sunlit dining room, Lucia mentioned that a prime venue in Midtown Manhattan was up for a silent auction. It was none other than the Cortland Grand Hotel, a historic building that had played host to countless events, including, ironically, the Albrecht Foundation's annual Gala. Samantha nearly choked on her iced tea. "Wait, the Albrecht Gala is held at the Cortland Grand, right?" Lucia nodded. "Indeed it is. Every year for the past decade or so. The foundation doesn't own the hotel. They rent the Grand Ballroom. From what I understand, the Cortland Grand has been in financial trouble recently. A group of foreign investors was supposed to buy it, but the deal fell through." An idea flashed through Samantha's mind. It was bold, perhaps even outrageous. But then again, so was banning a pregnant woman for being pregnant. She leaned forward, excitement shining in her eyes. "Lucia, what would it take for me to buy the Cortland Grand outright?" Lucia paused, measuring Samantha's seriousness. "It's a multi-$100 million deal. You'd have to come up with a substantial chunk of capital or secure a syndicated loan. You have the assets for sure, but are you sure you want to sink that kind of money into a single property? It's a risky move if you're only motivated by revenge. Samantha shook her head. It's not just revenge. There's more to it. She explained her vision. She wanted to own the venue where the Albrecht Gala took place, thereby controlling its destiny. She could decide who could or could not be barred. She could also transform the space into something that embraced inclusivity, becoming a shining example that pregnant women or any marginalized group should never be sidelined. This could become a symbol of empowerment, Samantha elaborated. We could renovate it, ensure it's fully accessible, expand the facilities to accommodate different needs, including mothers who want to attend events comfortably. We could hold philanthropic events of our own. Make a statement that being pregnant doesn't disqualify you from the world's most prestigious gatherings. Lucia smiled. I love it, but you'd have to move fast. The silent auction closes in 2 weeks. Samantha wasted no time. She called her investment advisors, tapped into her network of financiers, and started drafting proposals. Nathan was initially skeptical about sinking so much money into a single asset, but when Samantha explained the bigger picture, how this could reframe the conversation around pregnancy and power, he backed her wholeheartedly. They put in an aggressive bid that surpassed every other offer by a comfortable margin. Within 10 days, Samantha Beckett became the new owner of the Cortland Grand Hotel. News broke almost immediately in the financial press and the society columns. Tech entrepreneur and philanthropist Samantha Beckett buys iconic Cortland Grand Hotel read the headlines. They speculated on the purchase price, rumored to be in the mid-9-figure range. Some articles painted Samantha as a visionary investor who saw potential in revitalizing the aging property. Others framed it as a power move in response to the Albrecht Foundation's perceived slight. Online forums buzzed with theories. Was Samantha trying to bankrupt the foundation by jacking up rent prices for their gala? Would she ban the Albrecht Foundation? In a delicious twist of irony, Samantha released a statement emphasizing her commitment to inclusive spaces and her plan to honor existing contracts, including the Albrecht Foundation's upcoming gala. She pointedly noted that pregnant women should always be welcome in any space that was under her ownership. Unsurprisingly, the foundation responded with measured politeness, congratulating her on her purchase, and stating they looked forward to continuing a productive partnership. Behind the scenes, however, the board was reportedly in turmoil. Their star donor had turned into their landlord, and they had little recourse but to honor the contract for the upcoming gala, unless they wanted to face exorbitant penalties. Moreover, the public sentiment was heavily in Samantha's favor. She was hailed as an icon for women's empowerment, someone who refused to accept archaic notions of what an expectant mother could or could not do. But Samantha's bold move also attracted critics. Some questioned her motives, suggesting it was a vanity project. A few finance analysts forecasted potential losses, arguing that the Cortland Grand was a dated property requiring massive upgrades to stay profitable. They hinted that Samantha might have bitten off more than she could chew, especially with a baby on the way. Samantha, however, remained steadfast. She dedicated herself to rebranding the hotel and began working with top architects and interior designers to modernize its spaces while preserving its historic charm. Every decision, from the color schemes of the lobbies to the acoustics of the grand ballroom, was filtered through her lens of inclusivity and elegance. As the Albrecht Foundation Gala drew nearer, tensions soared. The Foundation's board had no choice but to plan its event under Samantha's roof, literally. The irony was not lost on them or anyone else. Behind closed doors, some board members reportedly considered shifting the venue to avoid the embarrassment of being overshadowed by Samantha's new role. But last-minute venue changes for an event of this magnitude would be logistically nightmarish and financially punitive. Sponsors had already been promised the grandeur of the Cortland Grand, and the date was locked in, so they begrudgingly proceeded. Samantha, never one to waste an opportunity, planned a parallel event, a special mother-centric conference, on the morning of the gala. She invited prominent obstetricians, pediatricians, and maternal health advocates to speak about modern healthcare challenges faced by expectant mothers. The highlight was a keynote presentation by none other than Dr. Emily Townsend, a globally renowned maternal-fetal medicine expert. Several high-profile celebrities who had recently become parents themselves expressed interest in attending, including singer John Legend, who planned to talk about paternal involvement in maternal well-being. Nathan, meanwhile, navigated the labyrinth of publicity. He gave interviews emphasizing their family's commitment to inclusive philanthropy. He also dropped hints that Samantha might make a surprise appearance at the Albrecht Gala that evening, a gesture designed to keep the board on edge. If they tried to bar her again, the backlash would be catastrophic. If they let her in, they would be forced to confront their own hypocrisy in a very public setting. In the days leading up to the event, the hotel swarmed with designers, contractors, and event planners. Samantha spared no expense in renovating the areas where guests would gather. She added comfortable lounge spaces for pregnant women, equipped with plush seating and easy access to restrooms. She ensured that the entire building was accessible not just by law, but by design. The message was clear: this was a new era for the Cortland Grand, an era of welcoming everyone. On the morning of the gala, Samantha's mother-centric conference opened to a packed ballroom. Expectant mothers, doctors, social workers, and even a few curious press members attended. The atmosphere brimmed with optimism and knowledge-sharing. Dr. Emily Townsend's keynote was a rousing success, covering everything from the latest prenatal care advancements to the critical need for public awareness around postpartum depression. John Legend appeared via a short video, lending his support to paternal engagement in the process. Samantha, now nearly 8.5 months pregnant, took the stage to share her personal story of being banned from the very gala that would take place that evening. She spoke candidly about how devastating it felt to be deemed a liability for simply nurturing new life. She emphasized the importance of changing mindsets and policies to ensure no woman ever felt isolated or shamed because of her pregnancy. Her words resonated deeply. The crowd gave her a standing ovation, tears in their eyes, as she concluded, "Pregnancy is not a flaw. It's not a burden. It's a testament to the strength of the human body and spirit. And I promise you, as long as I have a voice and the resources to make a difference, no mother will ever be turned away from a seat at the table." As night fell, the Albrecht Foundation Gala commenced in the same grand ballroom, still adorned with fresh flowers and elegant table settings from the morning's conference. The city's elite, decked out in designer gowns and tuxedos, began to stream in. Waiters hurried about with trays of champagne, and a live orchestra played soft, classical tunes. Despite the air of opulence, there was a distinct undercurrent of tension. Everyone knew the subtext: the woman who had been banned for being too pregnant owned these very walls. Yet nobody dared voice the tension openly, at least not initially. Samantha decided to make a statement through her arrival. She and Nathan chose to forgo a conventional limo, instead riding in an electric SUV that arrived precisely when the media was at its peak. Samantha stepped out wearing a custom-made gown that draped elegantly over her baby bump, radiating confidence and unapologetic pride in her pregnancy. Cameras flashed wildly. The world seemed to slow down, capturing every second of Samantha's triumphant entrance. Inside, several board members, including Johann Weber, gathered near the entrance to greet VIPs. Upon seeing Samantha, their expressions grew taut. Johann forced a smile and welcomed her stiffly, clearly fumbling to appear cordial. Samantha, in turn, offered a gracious greeting, refusing to stoop to open hostility. She had already won the moral high ground. There was no need for petty displays of resentment. As Samantha and Nathan made their way through the crowd, many attendees approached her with congratulations on the hotel purchase and well wishes for her pregnancy. Some whispered their support in her ear, while others offered measured politeness, wary of taking sides. Yet no one could deny the spectacle of her presence or the fact that she was, despite her advanced pregnancy, navigating the event flawlessly. The Albrecht Foundation's board chair, Catherine Warburton, a close confidant of several well-known philanthropists, took the stage to deliver opening remarks. Her speech celebrated the foundation's accomplishments and thanked the major donors, including the Becketts. She then addressed a topic that had everyone on edge. Before we proceed, Catherine began, her voice shaking slightly. We wish to acknowledge that recent misunderstandings have cast the foundation in an unfavorable light. We deeply regret any actions that may have given the impression of discrimination. Let it be known that the Albrecht Foundation's core values center on inclusivity and compassion. A smattering of applause followed, though some in the audience seemed skeptical. Samantha glanced at Nathan. Was this a sincere apology or a strategic pivot to save face? Catherine continued, "We are proud to maintain our partnership with the Cortland Grand Hotel, and we thank Mrs. Samantha Beckett for her unwavering commitment to philanthropic causes." She gestured towards Samantha, prompting a spotlight to shine on her table. Samantha fought back a mix of emotions: anger for their earlier slight gratitude for the public acknowledgement, and suspicion about the sincerity behind it all. Still, she nodded graciously. The moment felt surreal. A few months earlier, the foundation had tried to bar her from attending. Now, they were forced to publicly applaud her. After the speech, Samantha found herself cornered by none other than Johann Weber. He excused himself and asked if she could spare a moment. Curious, she followed him to a quieter side of the ballroom, near a sculpture of Greek goddesses that ironically symbolized fertility and creation. "I owe you an explanation," Johann began, visibly uneasy. I wasn't acting alone when I made that phone call to ban you from the gala." Samantha raised an eyebrow. "I assumed as much," she replied, her voice steady but guarded. "But does it matter? You were the one who delivered the message." He sighed, looking genuinely regretful. "I followed orders. Catherine Warburton was the one who insisted we bar you. She believed that your pregnancy would overshadow the foundation's fundraising goals. A big press fiasco, she called it. She worried it would divert attention from the foundation's agenda. I tried to reason with her, but she threatened to replace me on the board. I needed that position for my own philanthropic efforts. I caved." Samantha studied him, recalling how swiftly he had dismissed her on that phone call. But seeing him now vulnerable and repentant, she felt a pang of empathy. "So Catherine orchestrated this?" Johann nodded. "It's not an excuse for what I did, but you should know she's the real architect of this. She believed the negative press, around a pregnant attendee, possibly going into labor at the gala, would overshadow everything else. She's the one you should confront. Samantha exhaled, realizing the complexity of the situation. Thank you for telling me. She offered a curt nod, not fully absolving him, but acknowledging his confession. Fueled by this revelation, Samantha excused herself from the buzzing crowd and cornered Catherine Warburton in a narrow hallway near the kitchens. Catherine's face blanched when she saw Samantha approach, a cold determination in her eyes. I just had an enlightening chat with Johann Weber, Samantha said, folding her arms. He told me everything. How you orchestrated the decision to bar me from the gala because you didn't want my pregnancy overshadowing your event. Catherine attempted to regain her composure. Mrs. Beckett, you must understand. But Samantha cut her off. I do understand. You feared that my pregnancy would become a bigger story than your foundation. And now look where we are. The scandal is bigger than anything you could have imagined. Congratulations. Catherine's eyes flickered with panic. It was a miscalculation. I realize that now. But you need to see the bigger picture. The Foundation's work is important, saving lives, funding research. We can't afford distractions. Samantha stood her ground, her voice steady and resonant. Pregnancy is not a distraction. It's a reality for women around the world, half the population, in fact. Your approach to philanthropy is hypocritical if you exclude the very people who might benefit from medical research, including maternal health. I'm disappointed that someone in your position could be so narrow-minded. Catherine looked ready to argue, but then sighed in defeat. I was wrong. Okay, it was short-sighted. You've made your point. You've humiliated me and the board by buying the hotel. Do you plan to keep punishing us? Samantha blinked, genuinely taken aback. Punishment. This was never about punishing anyone. It was about creating a space where no woman would have to experience what I went through. If that's humiliating for you, perhaps you should reconsider your position. She turned and walked away, leaving Catherine speechless in the hallway. The final act of the evening was a dance performance by a renowned ballet company, followed by a fundraising auction. Throughout these proceedings, Samantha maintained her composure, greeting well-wishers and sharing polite banter with potential partners. But her mind still churned with the weight of Catherine's betrayal and the Foundation's hypocrisy. At one point, Nathan gently guided her onto the dance floor during a slow waltz. The crowd parted, allowing them to sway gently in the center. Cameras flashed, capturing the poignant sight of a heavily pregnant woman effortlessly gliding across the marble floor with her husband. It was a moment of serene defiance, an image that would later grace countless social media feeds and remain etched in the memories of all who witnessed it. Leaning in, Nathan whispered, "You've done it. You've shown them we won't be marginalized. We belong here just as much as they do." Samantha's eyes glistened. "We do. And I hope this is the beginning of a new chapter for inclusivity, not just for me, but for anyone who's ever been told they don't fit in, because they don't fit someone else's idea of perfection." As the gala wrapped up, the Foundation announced it had raised an impressive amount for medical research. Whether that was due to the presence of celebrities, donors' desire to offset negative publicity, or genuine compassion, no one could be certain. But Samantha's presence was undeniably the evening's most talked-about highlight, overshadowing even the glitzy fundraising figures. Reporters swarmed around her as she and Nathan made their exit. Microphones thrust forward, eager for a statement on the record. Samantha obliged, briefly choosing her words carefully. "I'm delighted to see the generosity here tonight. But let's not forget, true philanthropy must be inclusive. We cannot claim to serve humanity while excluding the most natural experience in the world, pregnancy." Tonight I stand here in the Cortland Grand Hotel, proud and pregnant, reminding everyone that women can and should attend any event, hold any position, and lead in any sphere, regardless of how close they are to bringing new life into the world. With that, she left the gala on her own terms, a victor not just in wealth or status, but in principle. In the weeks following the gala, Samantha was inundated with requests for interviews, speaking engagements, and collaborations. Media outlets lauded her as a champion of women's rights and inclusivity. Social media campaigns sprung up praising her bold stance. Pregnant women worldwide shared their stories of being denied opportunities, from job promotions to even attending family weddings, due to societal stigmas. The Albrecht Foundation, on the other hand, scrambled to salvage its reputation. Several board members resigned, including Johann Weber, who later penned an op-ed titled "What I Learned About Inclusivity from Samantha Beckett." He confessed his complicity in the fiasco and vowed to do better. Catherine Warburton's position became precarious. Rumors circulated that she might soon step down to focus on personal endeavors. Meanwhile, Samantha and Nathan continued the renovations on the Cortland Grand. They announced a new initiative, the Beckett Institute for Maternal Health and Wellness, which would operate out of a dedicated wing of the hotel to host conferences, workshops, and support groups for expectant mothers and healthcare professionals. Samantha felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. Her pregnancy was entering its final stretch, and she had never felt more energized. Despite occasional bouts of fatigue and anxiety about childbirth, she woke up each morning renewed by the knowledge that her unborn child was already making a difference in the world simply by existing. Yet not every response to Samantha's bold moves was celebratory. A segment of Nathan's extended family, who were old-money traditionalists, felt uneasy with the limelight and drama. They valued discretion and believed that the family name should not be embroiled in public scandal, no matter how righteous the cause. Rumors reached Samantha's ears that some of Nathan's relatives disapproved of her tasteless display at the gala. Over a tense family dinner, Nathan's uncle Winston Beckett voiced these concerns openly. "Your mother and I worry that all this spectacle might not be in the best interest of the Beckett name," Winston said, sipping brandy in the lavish drawing room of the Beckett ancestral estate. "We appreciate that your intentions are noble, Samantha, but the press coverage has been quite sensational." Samantha exchanged a look with Nathan, who squeezed her hand supportively. "With all due respect, Winston, times have changed. Public discourse shapes philanthropic outcomes. If we stand back and do nothing, we let archaic perceptions fester." Winston frowned. "Perhaps, but must it be so public? Our family has always believed in discreet philanthropy." Samantha responded patiently. "Discretion is lovely, but it doesn't incite change the way public advocacy can. If I had fought this battle quietly, it would have been buried, another instance of discrimination swept under the rug. The only way to combat stigma is to bring it to light." While the conversation remained civil, it left an underlying tension. Some of the Beckett relatives saw Samantha as a brash disruptor who might tarnish their carefully curated legacy. But she and Nathan stood firm, believing that change was worth the friction. Amid the heightened publicity, a major streaming platform approached Samantha with a documentary proposal. They wanted to follow her journey, starting from her ban at the gala to her ownership of the Cortland Grand Hotel, culminating in the birth of her child. Their pitch was compelling, focusing on women's empowerment, the interplay between motherhood and leadership, and behind-the-scenes glimpses of Samantha's day-to-day life. The offer promised a global audience with potential to highlight the new maternal health institute she was building. Yet Samantha hesitated. She valued transparency, but opening her private life, even her childbirth journey to cameras, seemed intrusive. Nathan had similar reservations. "We already live so much in the public eye," he said thoughtfully. "Exposing the birth of our child might be crossing a line." Eventually, they devised a compromise. They would allow limited access, focusing on the philanthropic initiatives and the final stages of the Cortlandt Grand's renovation. Personal moments like ultrasounds or home life would remain off-limits. This balanced approach would keep the spotlight on the broader message while safeguarding their family's privacy. Just when life seemed to settle into a victorious lull, a new challenge arose. Catherine Warburton, facing mounting pressure from the Foundation's donors, filed a lawsuit against the Cortlandt Grand's management, alleging that recent renovations violated the original rental agreement for the Gala. She claimed breach of contract and demanded financial compensation, an obvious attempt to recoup losses and shift blame for the PR fiasco onto Samantha. Samantha's lawyers scoffed at the suit, calling it meritless. But the threat of a protracted legal battle was real. The media latched on to the new development, spinning stories about a bitter vendetta between Catherine Warburton and Samantha Beckett. Instead of letting the tabloids run wild, Samantha took control. She issued a succinct statement. "We stand by the changes made to the Cortlandt Grand, all of which were aimed at inclusivity and modernizing the facility. We welcome the opportunity to clear our name through the proper legal channels and remain committed to the highest standards of hospitality and respect for all patrons." The litigation overshadowed some of the philanthropic work Samantha was doing. Determined to keep momentum, she accelerated the plans for the Beckett Institute, scheduling a grand opening that would coincide with her last month of pregnancy. Nathan, worried about her stress levels, tried to persuade her to slow down, but Samantha was resolute. "I need to see this through," she told him, "for every woman who might benefit from these spaces." Despite the looming lawsuit, the Beckett Institute for Maternal Health and Wellness opened its doors on a sunny Saturday morning. The atmosphere was festive and hopeful, with medical professionals, activists, donors, and expectant parents gathering to celebrate the new facilities. Fittingly, the event was held in the very same ballroom where Samantha had once been deemed too pregnant to attend a gala. Among the distinguished guests were representatives from UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and even Mackenzie Scott, who had made an unannounced appearance. She praised Samantha's vision for creating an environment where expectant mothers could access resources, attend seminars, and receive support without judgment or fear. The highlight was a ribbon-cutting ceremony during which Samantha and Nathan held hands and cut the ribbon together. Samantha's belly was unmistakably prominent, her glow undeniable. Cameras captured her radiant smile as she declared the institute officially open. In her speech, Samantha reflected on her journey not long ago. "I was told I couldn't be part of an event because of my pregnancy. Today, I stand here still pregnant, cutting the ribbon on a space dedicated to celebrating motherhood and women's strength. May this institute stand as a testament that no woman's potential should ever be questioned because she carries life within her." A roar of applause filled the room. The moment encapsulated everything Samantha had fought for: a living monument to inclusivity, empowerment, and progress. Fittingly, Samantha went into labor just 2 weeks after the Institute's grand opening. She was at home when the first contractions began. Nathan rushed her to the hospital, where a specially chosen medical team awaited. Despite the swirling media interest, Samantha managed to keep the birth largely private, allowing only her closest family and friends to share in the celebration. Their daughter, Amelia Grace Beckett, was born healthy and strong. Holding Amelia in her arms, Samantha felt a profound shift within herself. All the battles, the lawsuits, the controversies, none of it mattered as much as this tiny human who had already changed the world before she took her first breath. Messages of congratulations poured in from influential figures and everyday people alike. The Albrecht Foundation also sent flowers and a note presumably drafted by Catherine Warburton offering sincere congratulations. Samantha read the note, feeling an odd sense of closure. Whatever Catherine's motivations, the time for enmity had passed. With a newborn at home, Samantha took a brief maternity leave from her business ventures. Yet she still managed to guide major decisions regarding the Cortland Grand and the Beckett Institute, often from the comfort of her nursery baby, Amelia, sleeping peacefully nearby. Post-birth, Samantha received a stream of visitors. Lucia Vasquez came by, marveling at Amelia and discussing the hotel's ongoing renovations. Dr. Emily Townsend, the maternal fetal medicine expert, dropped in to talk about future seminars at the Institute. Even Johann Weber visited, bringing a gift for the baby and offering to volunteer his time at the Institute as part of his apology. The documentary crew was given limited access to record updates, capturing the essence of a new mother, balancing philanthropic ambitions with the demands of caring for a newborn. Although Samantha was often visibly tired, she exuded a sense of fulfillment that transcended any exhaustion. Just as the lawsuit threatened to drag on Catherine Warburton's legal team, approached Samantha's lawyers with a settlement offer. The terms were favorable to the Cortland Grand. Catherine would drop the lawsuit publicly, retract any insinuations of breach of contract, and pay a portion of the legal fees. The settlement also included a non-disclosure agreement which barred Catherine from disparaging Samantha or the Cortland Grand publicly. While Samantha's team mulled over the moral implications of an NDA, they ultimately agreed. The suit was a distraction from far more important work at the Institute. Concluding the matter swiftly allowed everyone to move on. To the surprise of many, the Albrecht Foundation also approached Samantha, expressing interest in a partnership with the Beckett Institute. They proposed collaborative maternal health programs and potential research grants. Many speculated this was the board's attempt to rebrand and align with Samantha's widely applauded mission. After careful consideration, Samantha agreed to meet with them. At that meeting, a reformed board, lacking Catherine Warburton, who had quietly resigned, detailed their plans for synergy. They seemed earnest in wanting to advance maternal health care initiatives. Samantha, while still cautious, recognized an opportunity to expand the Institute's impact. By uniting resources, they could fund critical research and support clinics worldwide. Their alliance was announced a month later, met with cautious optimism by the public. A few cynics accused Samantha of hypocrisy for working with an organization that had once discriminated against her. But Samantha believed in progress, people and institutions could learn and change. The best outcome for everyone, especially mothers and children, was cooperation. With Amelia thriving and the Institute blossoming, Samantha set her sights on larger issues within maternal health, particularly in underserved regions of the world. She began collaborating with global agencies, planning to use the Cortland Grand as a hub for international summits. Nathan also found new purpose in fatherhood. He launched financial literacy workshops specifically tailored for young parents, teaching them how to manage expenses from prenatal care to college savings. Together, the Beckett couple became a powerhouse of advocacy, each playing to their strengths but united by a common vision. Their story, once steeped in scandal and conflict, had evolved into a blueprint for how adversity can catalyze transformative action. Newspapers ran headlines like, "From Banned to Beloved," Samantha Beckett's reshaping of high society, and the documentary's teaser trailer garnered millions of online views, offering glimpses into the emotional journey of turning humiliation into empowerment. The red carpet shimmered under the soft evening lights of the Cortland Grand Hotel, but this time it wasn't for a gala, a corporate ball, or a political fundraiser. It was for a story, the story. Samantha Beckett's story. Months after giving birth to Amelia Grace, Samantha stood at the entrance of the newly renovated Grand Ballroom, greeting guests as they arrived for the world premiere of the documentary chronicling her battle against exclusion and the transformation that followed. Photographers gathered outside, capturing every angle of the woman once labeled too pregnant for public appearance, now standing tall in an elegant cream dress with her husband Nathan by her side and their daughter nestled on her hip. The venue buzzed with anticipation. Attendees included world leaders in healthcare, education, and philanthropy, along with celebrities who had lent their voices to maternal advocacy. Even some of Nathan's more conservative relatives had come no longer out of obligation, but curiosity, maybe even pride. As the lights dimmed and the film began, the room fell silent. The documentary opened with raw footage, Samantha taking the now infamous call from the Albrecht Foundation, being told she could not attend the gala due to her pregnancy. Her face barely holding back anger and disbelief filled the screen. The audience visibly tensed. From there, the film traced every major milestone, her emotional conversations with Nathan, the decision to buy the Cortland Grand, the launch of the Beckett Institute, and the dramatic night she arrived at the very gala that once rejected her. The footage captured her slow, poised entrance, her dance with Nathan, and the quiet strength she radiated while 8 months pregnant and undeterred. It also dove into the backlash, the whispers, the lawsuits, the family tension. But most of all, it illuminated the hope that came after the conferences, the new health programs, and the global movement sparked by one woman's refusal to be sidelined. What struck audiences the most were the intimate interviews. Samantha, in her nursery rocking baby Amelia, as she shared what it meant to fight while nurturing life. Nathan tearfully recalling the moment he realized this wasn't just about reputation, but about reshaping history. Even former board member Johann Weber appeared apologizing and detailing the lessons he had learned. The final scene was the ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Beckett Institute. Samantha's voiceover, played "The moment they said I didn't belong," was the moment I realized I had to build the place where we all do. The credits rolled to thunderous applause. Samantha, Nathan, and Amelia were called to the stage. The crowd rose in ovation, clapping not just for the film, but for the truth behind it. Samantha stepped forward, microphone in hand, and looked out over the sea of faces. "I never imagined that what started as an act of exclusion would become a global conversation," she said. "But what I've learned, what we've all learned, is this: no woman's worth should ever be judged by her biology. Pregnancy isn't a pause in a woman's life. It's part of it. And if this story helps even one more woman stand taller, speak louder, or refuse to shrink herself in the face of rejection, then everything we've built was worth it." She looked down at Amelia, now squirming playfully in Nathan's arms. "This," she smiled, "is the future. And I'm proud that she'll grow up in a world where stories like this exist not as exceptions, but as the standard." The audience erupted again, this time not just in applause, but in shared purpose. The premiere had been more than a screening. It had been a statement. Years passed, but the legacy of Samantha Beckett's stand against exclusion only grew stronger. The Beckett Institute for Maternal Health and Wellness, once just a bold dream, born from pain, blossomed into a world-renowned hub of research advocacy and care. From Redwood City to Johannesburg, expectant mothers found hope in the programs the Institute developed. Its outreach stretched far beyond the gilded walls of the Cortland Grand. Clinics in underserved neighborhoods, scholarships for aspiring maternal care specialists, and mobile prenatal units all bore the Beckett seal, a quiet but powerful reminder that no woman should ever be left behind because she carried life within her. The Cortland Grand itself had transformed too. Once viewed as a symbol of exclusionary elitism, the venue now hosted global summits on gender equity, wellness expos, and diversity galas celebrating marginalized voices. Every architectural detail, from wide walkways to nursing lounges, reflected Samantha's unwavering belief that true luxury is rooted in inclusion. Samantha and Nathan, now a household name in philanthropic and business circles, continued to lead by example. Their daughter, Amelia Grace Beckett, grew up amid purpose and possibility. Even as a young girl, Amelia accompanied her parents to hospital visits, ribbon cuttings, and charity galas, not as a guest, but as a living symbol of the movement her mother had ignited. She was growing up not only with a legacy, but inside of it. Though Samantha remained active in business, she had recalibrated her life's rhythm. Board meetings were balanced with bedtime stories. International panels were followed by school recitals. She had discovered a new kind of leadership, one that didn't require sacrificing motherhood for ambition, but that used both in tandem to shape a better world. Her once controversial story had become legend. University lectures referenced her case as a turning point in corporate inclusivity. The annual documentary on modern female leadership included a segment on the night she waltzed across the Cortland Grand's ballroom floor, 8 months pregnant and radiant. And every year on the gala's anniversary, a letter would arrive from a young woman thanking Samantha for being the reason she applied to medical school or felt confident walking into her workplace while expecting. But perhaps the greatest testament to Samantha's journey was this: she no longer needed to remind the world that pregnancy wasn't a weakness. The world had learned because she showed them. Standing on the balcony of her hotel one cool spring evening, watching guests filter into a conference dedicated to maternal equity, Samantha wrapped an arm around Nathan and smiled. Amelia darted through the halls behind them, laughing. In that moment, Samantha felt a quiet certainty. The fight had been worth it, and the legacy was only just beginning. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey of ambition, resilience, and ultimate triumph. Samantha Beckett's saga reminds us that when faced with prejudice, we must stand tall and respond with unyielding courage, whether by raising our voices, forging new paths, or in her unforgettable case, buying out the entire venue. If her story has inspired you to break barriers, advocate for inclusivity, or simply believe in the power of possibility, then her mission has been fulfilled. But this is just the beginning. Let's continue spreading the word about women's empowerment and the importance of inclusive spaces. If you enjoyed this story, please give the video a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more compelling tales. Your support ensures we can keep bringing inspiring narratives that challenge the status quo and uplift every voice. Together, let's spark meaningful change, one story at a time.